Jerusalem was full. Pilgrims filled the streets. Lambs were prepared. Torches burned through the night. But beneath the noise of celebration, something darker was unfolding. In a quiet upper room, a meal was shared. Bread was broken, a cup was passed, and one hand reached for silver. Before the sun would rise again, a kiss would betray a friend. A sword would flash in the night, and fear would scatter those who once swore loyalty. Power would hesitate, truth would stand silent, and a crowd would choose. 3 days, 3 nights, one sacrifice. This is not just the story of suffering, it is the story of decision, of loyalty, of fear, of silence. This is the final 72 hours of Jesus of Nazareth, and it begins now. Jerusalem is about to become a killing floor. 72 hours from now, a man will hang from a Roman cross outside these city walls. His blood will soak into the ground of a hill called Golgotha. The crowds who praised him will demand his execution. The disciples who swore loyalty will scatter like frightened animals. But the man at the center of it all knows exactly what is coming. He has known for months, perhaps years, perhaps since the foundation of the world. The Passover crowds have swelled the population to nearly 1 million people. Pilgrims from every corner of the Roman Empire pack the narrow streets. They press against ancient limestone walls. They fill every room, every rooftop, every courtyard. They have come to watch lambs being slaughtered in the temple. But this year, the lamb is already here. He entered the city 5 days ago on a donkey, while crowds tore palm branches from trees and screamed his name like he was a conquering king. They spread their cloaks on the dusty road. They shouted Hosanna. They believed the kingdom was finally coming. Now the religious leaders want him dead. The Roman governor wants peace. And the clock is ticking. 72 hours remain. This is the final 3 days of Jesus of Nazareth. And nothing can stop what is about to happen. What follows may surprise you. Stay with us as we continue uncovering the mystery behind these moments. Chapter 1. The temple burns with rage. 72 hours to execution. It is Tuesday morning, 2 days before Passover. The sun has barely cleared the Mount of Olives when Jesus begins walking toward the temple. He's been staying in Bethany, a small village about 2 miles east of Jerusalem, at the home of Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. The same Lazarus he raised from the dead just weeks ago. The same miracle that convinced the religious leaders that Jesus had to die. The walk from Bethany to Jerusalem takes about 45 minutes. Down the eastern slope of the Mount of Olives, across the Kidron Valley, up through one of the city gates. Jesus walks with his disciples. 12 men, fishermen, tax collectors, zealots, ordinary men from ordinary villages. None of them understand what the next 72 hours will bring. They enter the temple through the eastern gate. The court of the Gentiles spreads before them. This is the outer courtyard, the only place where non-Jews are permitted to pray. It should be a place of quiet worship. Instead, it is chaos. Money changers sit behind wooden tables, exchanging Roman coins for temple currency. The exchange rate is criminal. Pilgrims who have traveled hundreds of miles are being robbed in broad daylight. Merchants sell sacrificial animals at inflated prices. Doves for the poor, lambs for those who can afford them. The bleating and cooing create a constant noise that drowns out any attempt at prayer. The smell is overwhelming. Animal dung, sweat, incense from the inner courts, blood from the sacrifices. Jesus stops. The disciples freeze behind him. They have seen this look before. 3 years ago, at the beginning of his ministry, Jesus made a whip of cords and drove out the merchants and money changers. He overturned their tables. He scattered their coins. He told them to stop making his Father's house a marketplace. They came back. They always come back. Now he is here again. And he is angrier. He moves toward the nearest table. The money changer looks up, confused. A rabbi in simple clothes, nothing threatening. Jesus grabs the edge of the wooden table and flips it. Coins explode across the stone floor. Silver and bronze clatter and roll in every direction. People scramble to grab them. Jesus moves to the next table, flips it, and the next. Cages of doves topple. Birds escape into the air. Lambs bleat in panic. Merchants shout in protest. His voice cuts through the chaos like a blade. My house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you have made it a den of thieves. Within minutes, the court of the Gentiles is cleared. Tables lie overturned. Coins glitter in the dust. Merchants huddle against the walls, watching this Galilean prophet with a mixture of fury and fear. But Jesus is not finished. He turns toward the inner courts, where the priests are watching from the shadows. He begins teaching. The crowds gather around him, hungry for his words. The chief priests watch. The scribes watch. The elders watch. They have been plotting his death for months. Ever since he raised Lazarus from the dead and the whole nation started following him. Now he has humiliated them in their own house, in front of thousands of witnesses. The high priest Caiaphas clenches his jaw. His face betrays nothing, but his mind is racing. This cannot stand. That night, the Sanhedrin meets in secret. 71 of the most powerful religious leaders in Israel gather in a torchlit chamber near the temple. Pharisees, Sadducees, scribes, elders, men who rarely agree on anything, united by a common enemy. The debate is brief. Jesus must die. But not during the festival. The crowds adore him. If they arrest him publicly, there will be a riot. The Romans will intervene. People will die. And the religious leaders will be blamed. They need stealth. They need timing. They need someone on the inside who knows where Jesus goes when the crowds disperse. And at that very moment, one of Jesus' own disciples is walking through the dark streets of Jerusalem toward the high priest's house. He is carrying an offer that will change history. If this opened your understanding of the word, subscribe and consider sharing it with someone who might be searching. The countdown continues. Chapter 2. The Traitor's Bargain. 48 hours to execution. Judas Iscariot knocks on the door of Caiaphas. A servant answers. He looks at the visitor. A Galilean. Common clothes. But there is something in his eyes that suggests purpose. The servant leads him inside. The priests are surprised when they see who has come. This is one of the 12, the inner circle, a man who has walked with Jesus for 3 years, who has seen the miracles, who has heard the private teachings, who has been trusted with the group's money. What could he possibly want? Judas does not waste words. What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you? The priests exchange glances. This is too easy. A gift falling into their laps. They count out 30 pieces of silver, roughly 4 months' wages for a labourer, the same price the law of Moses specifies for a slave accidentally killed by an ox. The price of a slave. Judas takes the money. The coins clink as they settle into his bag. He knows Jesus' habits. He knows where the master goes to pray after the crowds leave. He knows the garden across the Kidron Valley, at the foot of the Mount of Olives. All he needs now is the right moment. He slips back into the night. Why did Judas do it? The Bible does not give us a complete answer. Some believe it was greed. He was the treasurer. He had been stealing from the common fund. Maybe 30 pieces of silver seemed like a reasonable price. Some believe it was disappointment. Judas may have expected Jesus to overthrow the Romans and establish an earthly kingdom. When it became clear that Jesus had other plans, Judas decided to cut his losses. Some believe it was something darker. The Gospel of John says that Satan entered into Judas. The ancient enemy saw his opportunity and took it. Whatever the reason, The deal is done. The trap is set. And the clock is ticking. Meanwhile, Jesus continues teaching in the temple. The religious leaders send Pharisees and Herodians to trap him with questions. These groups normally despise each other. The Pharisees are strict religious conservatives. The Herodians are political collaborators. But they unite against a common enemy. They ask about taxes. Is it lawful to pay tribute to Caesar? If Jesus says yes, he loses the crowds who hate Roman occupation. If he says no, they can report him to Pilate for sedition. Jesus asks for a coin. Whose image is on it? Caesar's, they admit. Then give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. They cannot trap him. Every question he answers perfectly. Every trap he turns back on them. His words leave the crowds amazed and the authorities furious. But Jesus is not playing defense. He is on offense. He tells parables that indict the religious leaders directly. Wicked tenants who kill the vineyard owner's son. Wedding guests who refuse the king's invitation. Hypocrites who clean the outside of the cup while the inside is full of greed and wickedness. The message is clear. You have rejected God's messengers for centuries. Now you are about to reject his son, and judgment is coming. If this story is opening your eyes to parts of Scripture you never understood, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe so you do not miss what happens next. On Tuesday evening, Jesus sits on the Mount of Olives with his disciples, looking west toward the temple. The setting sun turns the white limestone and gold trim into fire. It is the most beautiful building in the ancient world. Peter asks when the end will come. Jesus answers with a prophecy so detailed it will echo through centuries. The temple will be destroyed, not one stone left on another. Wars will spread across the earth. Famines will strike. Earthquakes will shake nations. False prophets will rise. His followers will be persecuted, imprisoned, killed. And then, at the darkest moment in human history, the Son of Man will return in glory. The disciples do not fully understand. They cannot see past the next 48 hours. But Jesus sees everything. He sees the Roman legions that will burn this city 40 years from now. He sees the centuries of persecution his followers will endure. He sees the end of the age, when he will return to judge the living and the dead. And he sees Thursday night, the night everything changes. This was the night the tension began to rise, and what follows will shake Jerusalem to its core. Stay with this story. Chapter 3. The Last Supper. 24 hours to execution. It is Thursday evening. The sun is setting over Jerusalem, painting the western sky in shades of orange and red. Passover begins at nightfall. In 24 hours, Jesus will be dead. He sends Peter and John into the city with strange instructions. Look for a man carrying a jar of water. This is unusual. Women carry water. Men carrying water jars would stand out. Follow him. He will lead you to a house. Say to the owner, the teacher asks, where is the guest room, where he may eat the Passover with his disciples? He will show you a large upper room, furnished and ready. Prepare the meal there. Peter and John do not question it. They have stopped being surprised by the things Jesus knows. They find the man. They follow him. They prepare the room. The upper room is ready when Jesus arrives with the 12. Oil lamps flicker against whitewashed walls. A low table is set with unleavened bread, bitter herbs, roasted lamb, and 4 cups of wine. Cushions surround the table. The disciples recline on their left sides, following the ancient tradition. 13 men, 12 disciples, 1 teacher. One of them is a traitor. Jesus knows. He has always known. The meal begins with the first cup of wine, the cup of sanctification. They drink. Then Jesus does something unexpected. He stands. He removes his outer garment, the robe of a teacher. He wraps a towel around his waist, the garment of a servant. He pours water into a basin. The disciples watch in confusion. Jesus kneels before the first disciple and begins washing his feet. In the ancient world, foot washing was the task of the lowest servant in the household. Roads were dusty, sandals offered little protection, feet became filthy. A good host provided water and a servant to wash guests' feet. But no rabbi would wash feet. No teacher would kneel before students. No master would serve slaves. Jesus moves from disciple to disciple, washing, drying, moving to the next. When he reaches Peter, the fisherman pulls his feet away. "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answers quietly, "You do not understand now what I am doing, but you will understand later." Peter shakes his head. "Never. You will never wash my feet." Jesus looks up at him. "If I do not wash you, you have no part with me." Peter's resistance crumbles immediately. "They're not just my feet, Lord. Wash my hands and my head as well." Jesus almost smiles. A person who has bathed needs only to wash his feet. His whole body is clean, and you are clean. He pauses. The next words fall like stones. "Though not every one of you." The room goes still. Not everyone is clean. Someone at this table is unclean. Someone at this table is a traitor. Jesus finishes washing their feet. He puts his garment back on. He returns to his place at the table. "Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me." The disciples look at each other in shock. "Surely not me, Lord. Is it me? Who would do such a thing?" John, the youngest disciple, leans close to Jesus, his head almost touching the master's chest. "Lord, who is it?" Jesus dips a piece of bread into the dish and hands it to Judas Iscariot. The moment Judas takes the bread, something dark enters him. Something ancient. Something that has been waiting for this moment since the serpent first whispered in Eden. Jesus speaks to him alone. "What you are about to do quickly." The other disciples do not understand. They think Jesus is sending Judas to buy something for the festival, or to give something to the poor. Judas holds the money bag. Such errands would be normal. Judas stands. He walks to the door. He opens it. The night air rushes in, cold and damp. He steps outside. The door closes behind him, and the trap closes with it. 24 hours remain. The countdown accelerates. If this moment speaks to you, pass it on to someone walking through something similar. Chapter 4. The Cup and the Covenant. 18 hours to execution. With the traitor gone, Jesus turns to the 11 who remain. The oil lamps cast flickering shadows on the walls. The night has grown deeper. He picks up bread from the table. Unleavened bread, prepared according to the ancient command. The same bread their ancestors ate on the night they fled Egypt. He gives thanks. He breaks it into pieces. The sound of tearing bread fills the silent room. He distributes it to his disciples. "Take and eat. This is my body, given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." The disciples eat in silence. They do not understand. How can bread be his body? What does he mean, given for them? Then Jesus takes a cup of wine, the third cup, the cup of redemption. He lifts it. He gives thanks. He passes it to them. "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the new covenant, poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I will not drink of this fruit of the vine again until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." A new covenant. For 1500 years, the covenant between God and Israel has been sealed with animal blood. Lambs slaughtered in Egypt, bulls and goats burned on altars, rivers of blood flowing through the centuries. But tonight, in this small upper room, with 11 confused men, Jesus announces something new. A covenant sealed not with animal blood, with his own. In less than 18 hours, that blood will flow. Peter speaks up. "Lord, where are you going?" Jesus does not look at him. Where I am going, you cannot follow now, but you will follow later." Peter's voice rises. "Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Jesus finally turns to face him. "Will you lay down your life for me?" He pauses. The next words cut deeper than any blade. "Truly, I tell you, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter opens his mouth to argue. No words come. Jesus continues speaking. Words of comfort, words of preparation, words that his disciples will not fully understand until after everything happens. "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. I'm going there to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me." Thomas interrupts. "Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" Jesus speaks the words that will echo through every century since. "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." The conversation continues for another hour. Jesus speaks of the Holy Spirit who will come after he leaves. He speaks of persecution and hatred. He speaks of a peace that the world cannot give and cannot take away. Then he prays, not for himself, for them, for all who will believe because of their testimony. The prayer ends. They sing a hymn, one of the Psalms of praise traditionally sung at Passover. Then Jesus stands. It is time. The garden is waiting. 18 hours remain. What happens after this moment changes everything. Subscribe and stay with the series. The next chapter reveals something even more unexpected. Chapter 5. Gethsemane. 12 hours to execution. They leave the upper room and walk through the dark streets of Jerusalem. Down the steps, out the gate, across the Kidron Valley. The moon is nearly full. Passover always falls on a full moon. The silver light casts long shadows across the rocky ground. They climb the lower slopes of the Mount of Olives until they reach a garden called Gethsemane. The name means oil press. Olive trees grow here, gnarled and ancient. Their branches spread like dark fingers against the moonlit sky. Jesus has come here many times before to pray. Judas knows this place. At this very moment, Judas is leading soldiers toward this garden. Jesus stops at the edge of the trees and turns to his disciples. "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He takes Peter, James, and John deeper into the garden. These 3 have been with him at his most private moments. At the Transfiguration. At the raising of Jairus' daughter. Now they will witness this. Jesus speaks, and his voice is different. Heavy. Trembling. "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." He walks a little farther, about a stone's throw. Then he falls to his knees, then to his face. His body presses into the cold earth. His fingers dig into the dirt. "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." The cup. This is not the cup of physical pain, though that will be terrible enough. This is not the cup of humiliation, though that too is coming. This is the cup of divine wrath. The full weight of every sin ever committed by every human being who has ever lived or ever will live. Murder, adultery, theft, cruelty, abuse, hatred, every dark thought, every evil deed, every violation of God's law. All of it is about to be placed on him. And in that moment, the Father will turn away. The Son, who has existed in perfect union with the Father for all eternity, will experience complete abandonment, complete separation. That is the cup. Jesus prays again. The same words, the same plea. An angel appears to strengthen him. but the anguish only deepens. The Gospel of Luke records a medical detail. His sweat became like drops of blood falling to the ground, hematidrosis, a rare condition caused by extreme stress. The capillaries in his skin are bursting. 3 times he prays. 3 times he returns to find his disciples sleeping. Could you not keep watch with me for 1 hour? They cannot keep their eyes open. They do not understand what is happening. They do not know that these are the last 3 hours of their master's life. The 3rd time, Jesus does not wake them gently. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Torches appear through the trees. The sound of footsteps. The clank of weapons. A crowd emerges from the darkness. Temple guards, Roman soldiers, chief priests, elders. And leading them all, his face lit by flickering flame, is Judas Iscariot. He walks straight to Jesus. He leans in close. Rabbi, he kisses him on the cheek. That is the signal. If this story is challenging you, subscribe and share it with others who need to hear it. Because what happens next changed everything. Walk with us through the rest of this story. 12 hours remain. The final night has begun. Chapter 6. Arrest and abandonment. 9 hours to execution. Peter's hand goes to his sword before anyone else can move. He has been carrying it all evening. Against Roman law. Against common sense. But Peter is not thinking about laws or consequences. He swings. The blade catches a man named Malchus, a servant of the high priest, and slices off his right ear. Blood sprays in the torchlight. Malchus screams. The guards surge forward. Jesus shouts, "Put your sword away. Shall I not drink the cup the Father has given me?" He reaches out and touches the servant's head. The ear is restored, whole, perfect. The last miracle before the cross. The guards bind Jesus' hands. Ropes dig into his wrists. They shove him forward. The disciples watch in horror. This was not supposed to happen. Jesus was supposed to call down fire from heaven. He was supposed to summon 12 legions of angels. He was supposed to establish his kingdom. Instead, he is letting them take him, without a fight, without resistance. Like a lamb led to slaughter, the disciples scatter, every single one of them. The men who swore they would die for him run into the darkness like frightened animals. Peter and John follow at a distance. The others disappear into the night. 3 years of walking with him. 3 years of miracles and teaching and promises. And when the moment comes, they run. 9 hours remain. The guards drag Jesus through the dark streets to the house of Annas, the former high priest and father-in-law to Caiaphas. This is an unofficial interrogation, an attempt to gather evidence before the formal trial. Annas questions him about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answers calmly, "I have spoken openly to the world. I always taught in synagogues and at the temple, where all Jews come together. I said nothing in secret. Why question me? Ask those who heard me. They know what I said." One of the guards strikes him across the face. The blow snaps his head to the side. Blood appears on his lip. Is that any way to answer the high priest? Jesus turns his cheek back toward the guard. "If I said something wrong, testify as to what is wrong. But if I spoke the truth, why did you strike me?" Annas sends him to Caiaphas. The full Sanhedrin has gathered. 71 men. In the middle of the night, waiting to condemn a man they have already decided must die. The story isn't over, not even close. If you want more stories told this way, consider subscribing. Chapter 7. Trial in the dark. 6 hours to execution. The trial is illegal from the beginning. Jewish law requires capital cases to be heard during daylight hours. It is the middle of the night. Jewish law requires a delay of at least 1 day between verdict and sentencing. They intend to do both tonight. Jewish law prohibits self-incrimination. They are about to demand it. Witness after witness comes forward, but their testimonies contradict each other. The law requires agreement between witnesses. These witnesses cannot agree on anything. The case is falling apart. Caiaphas grows impatient. 6 hours until this man must be on a cross. The timeline is tight. Finally, Caiaphas stands. He walks to where Jesus is bound. He looks down at him with undisguised contempt. "I charge you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of God." The room goes silent. This is the question. If Jesus denies it, they have nothing. If he confirms it, they have blasphemy. Jesus lifts his head. His face is bruised, his lip is swollen, but his eyes are clear. You have said so, but I say to all of you, from now on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven. Caiaphas tears his robes, the traditional sign of outrage at hearing blasphemy. He has spoken blasphemy. Why do we need any more witnesses? You have heard the blasphemy. What do you think? The verdict is unanimous. Guilty. Worthy of death. The guards blindfold Jesus. They spit on him. They strike him with their fists. Prophesy to us, Messiah. Who hit you? The beating continues through the rest of the night. Fists and palms and rods landing on his face, his body, his head. He does not resist. He does not cry out. Meanwhile, in the courtyard below, Peter is warming himself by a fire. A servant girl recognizes him. "You were with Jesus of Galilee." Peter denies it. "I do not know what you are talking about." He moves away from the fire. Another girl sees him. This man was with Jesus of Nazareth. Peter denies again, this time with an oath. "I do not know the man." An hour passes. Another person approaches. "Surely you are one of them. Your accent gives you away." Peter begins to curse and swear. "I do not know the man." At that moment, a rooster crows. Across the courtyard, through the crowd, Jesus turns and looks directly at Peter. Their eyes meet. Peter remembers. "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. He stumbles away from the fire. He pushes through the crowd. He finds a dark corner. And he weeps bitterly. 6 hours remain. Dawn is approaching. If this story touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe and share with your friends. Chapter 8. Before Pilate. 3 hours to execution. The sun rises over the Mount of Olives. Friday morning, the day of preparation for Passover. The Sanhedrin cannot execute anyone. Only Rome has that authority, and executions must be completed before the Sabbath begins at sunset. 3 hours. That is all the time they have. They bind Jesus again and march him through the waking streets to the Praetorium, the Roman governor's headquarters. Pontius Pilate emerges, irritated at being summoned so early during a Jewish festival. "What charges are you bringing against this man?" The priests do not give specifics. "If he were not a criminal, we would not have handed him over to you." Pilate tells them to judge Jesus by their own law. But we have no right to execute anyone. They want the cross. They want Roman brutality. They want Jesus dead in the most painful, public, humiliating way possible. Pilate takes Jesus inside. He looks at this beaten, bloody prisoner who has somehow caused so much trouble. "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answers with a question. "Is that your own idea, or did others talk to you about me?" Pilate scoffs. "Am I a Jew? Your own people handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest. But now my kingdom is from another place." Pilate seizes on the word. "You are a king then. You say that I am a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." Pilate asks the question that will haunt philosophers for centuries. What is truth? He does not wait for an answer. He goes back outside to the crowd. I find no basis for a charge against this man. The priests press harder. He stirs up the people all over Judea. He started in Galilee and has come all the way here. Pilate pauses. Galilee? That is Herod's territory, and Herod Antipas is in Jerusalem for Passover. Pilate sends Jesus to Herod. Let someone else handle this problem. But Herod only wants entertainment. He asks Jesus to perform a miracle. Jesus refuses to speak a single word. Herod mocks him, dresses him in an elegant robe, and sends him back to Pilate. The governor is stuck. He tries one more option: the Passover amnesty. Each year, the Roman governor releases one prisoner chosen by the crowd. He offers them a choice: Jesus, called the Christ, or Barabbas, a murderer and insurrectionist. He assumes they will choose Jesus. He is wrong. The priests have worked the crowd. They have filled the courtyard with their supporters. The chant begins as a murmur and grows to a roar. Barabbas. Give us Barabbas. Pilate shouts over the noise. What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called the Christ? The answer comes back like a wave of hatred. Crucify him. Crucify him. Crucify him. 3 hours remain. The clock is running out. Share this with someone who may need to hear this today. Don't let this truth stop here. Let this message travel further than this screen. Chapter 9. The Scourging. 2 hours to execution. Pilate orders Jesus flogged. The Roman scourge is not a whip. It is a weapon. Multiple leather straps embedded with pieces of bone, metal, and glass, designed to tear flesh from bone. They strip Jesus and tie him to a post. His back is exposed. His arms are stretched above his head. The first blow lands across his shoulders. The skin splits. Blood flows. Muscle is exposed. The lictor draws back and strikes again, and again, and again. Roman law sets no limit on the number of lashes. Jewish law limits it to 39. The Romans do not follow Jewish law. By the time they finish, his back is a mass of torn flesh. His ribs are visible. Blood pools on the stone floor beneath him. They untie him. He collapses. They drag him inside. Someone produces a crown made of thorns. Long, sharp spikes woven together in a circle. They press it onto his head. The thorns pierce his scalp. Blood runs down his face and into his eyes. They throw a purple robe over his shredded back. The fabric sticks to the open wounds. They put a wooden staff in his hand. Then they kneel before him in mock worship. Hail, King of the Jews! They spit on him. They take the staff and strike him on the head, driving the thorns deeper into his scalp. Pilate brings him out one more time, hoping the sight of this broken man will satisfy the crowd. He gestures toward Jesus. Behold the man. But the priests scream louder. Crucify, crucify. If you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar. That is the threat that breaks Pilate. His position depends on Rome's favour. If word reaches the emperor that he released a rival king, his career is over. Perhaps his life. He calls for water. He washes his hands in front of the crowd. I am innocent of this man's blood. It is your responsibility. The crowd answers with words that will haunt their descendants for generations. His blood be on us and on our children. Pilate hands Jesus over to be crucified. 2 hours remain. In the next chapter, everything turns. History is moving towards something greater. Chapter 10. The road to Golgotha. 1 hour to execution. They load the crossbeam onto his shoulders. The patibulum weighs perhaps 100 pounds. After the scourging, after the beating, after a night without sleep, it might as well weigh 1,000. 1 hour, 60 minutes until the nails. The procession begins. Through the narrow streets of Jerusalem, past crowds gathered for Passover, past merchants hawking their wares, past children who do not understand what they are seeing, Jesus stumbles, falls. The beam crashes onto the stone pavement. His knees hit the ground. His hands scrape against the rock. He cannot get up. The soldiers grab a man from the crowd, a pilgrim from Cyrene in North Africa. His name is Simon. He has travelled hundreds of miles to celebrate Passover in Jerusalem. They force him to carry the beam. Jesus staggers forward. Blood drips from his back, his head, his face. Every step is agony. Women along the roadside weep for him. He turns to them. His voice is hoarse. His breath comes in gasps. Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and for your children. For if people do these things when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry? Even now, even bleeding, even dying. He is prophesying, warning of the destruction that will come to this city within a generation. They reach the hill called Golgotha, the place of the skull. It is not a mountain. It is a small rise outside the city walls, visible from the main road. The Romans choose their execution sites carefully. They want everyone to see. They offer Jesus wine mixed with myrrh, a crude painkiller that would dull the senses. He tastes it, then he refuses to drink. He wants to feel everything. They stretch his arms across the beam. They position the nails. The spikes are iron, about 7 inches long, squared, not round, for better grip. They drive the first nail through his wrist, not the palm. The palm cannot support the weight of a body. The wrist has solid bone. The second nail goes through the other wrist. They hoist the crossbeam up and attach it to the vertical post already planted in the ground. They bend his knees, stack his feet, drive a single nail through both. Then they drop the cross into the hole. The jolt sends agony through every nerve. Jesus hangs between heaven and earth. The only innocent man who ever lived, executed as a criminal. It is 9 a.m. The countdown ends. The execution begins. If this story is revealing something new in Scripture, share it with someone who needs this perspective. Chapter 11. 6 hours on the cross. The final hours. The soldiers divide his clothes. His outer garment, his belt, his sandals, his head covering. 4 soldiers, 4 pieces. But his tunic is seamless, woven in one piece from top to bottom. They do not tear it. They cast lots for it. Above his head, a sign reads in 3 languages: Latin, Greek, Hebrew. Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. The chief priests complained to Pilate, "Do not write King of the Jews. Write that he claimed to be king." Pilate refuses. "What I have written, I have written." 2 criminals hang on crosses beside Jesus, one on his left, one on his right. The one on the left hurls insults. "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebukes him. "Do you not fear God? We are getting what our deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing wrong." He turns his head toward Jesus. "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." Jesus answers through cracked lips and labored breath. "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." The crowd mocks him. He saved others, but he cannot save himself. Let him come down from the cross, and we will believe in him. Jesus says nothing. He could come down. He could call 12 legions of angels. He could destroy every one of them with a word. But then the cup would pass to someone else, and no one else can drink it. Mary, his mother, stands at the foot of the cross. John is with her. Jesus looks down at them. "Woman, here is your son." Then to John, "Here is your mother." From that hour, John takes her into his home. At noon, 3 hours into the crucifixion, darkness falls over the land. This is not an eclipse. Passover occurs during a full moon, and solar eclipses cannot happen during full moons. This is something else, something supernatural. For 3 hours, the sun refuses to shine. The sky turns black. The land grows cold. Something is happening in the spiritual realm that no human eye can see. The sin of the world is being transferred to Jesus. Every evil act ever committed, every dark thought, every violation of God's law, placed on him. And the Father, who cannot look upon sin, turns away. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 hours into the crucifixion, Jesus cries out in Aramaic, "Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani." My God, why have you forsaken me? The words are from Psalm 22, a song David wrote 1,000 years earlier, a song that describes crucifixion in precise detail, written centuries before crucifixion was invented. But this is also a cry of genuine anguish. For the first time in eternal existence, the Son experiences separation from the Father. The relationship that has existed since before time began is severed. This is the cup. This is what he asked to be spared from in the garden. This is the moment that breaks him. Someone soaks a sponge in sour wine and lifts it to his lips. Jesus drinks. Then he says one word, tetelestai. It is finished. The Greek word was used on receipts when a debt was paid in full. The transaction is complete. The price has been paid. Then, with a loud voice, he speaks his final words. "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." He bows his head. He breathes his last. And at that exact moment in the temple a mile away, the curtain separating the holy place from the most holy place tears in two, from top to bottom, 60 feet tall, as thick as a man's hand, torn, as if God himself is ripping it open. The barrier between humanity and the divine is destroyed. The way into God's presence is now open. Forever. If you have followed this story to the end, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Final chapter. Silence. Before Sunday. Hour 0. The centurion's standing guard looks up at the body. Surely this man was the Son of God. A Roman soldier, a pagan, the enemy. And he sees what the religious leaders refuse to see. Joseph of Arimathea arrives. A wealthy man, a member of the Sanhedrin, a secret follower of Jesus who has been hiding his faith for fear of the authorities. He is not hiding anymore. He goes to Pilate. He asks for the body. A bold request. Association with an executed criminal could ruin him. Pilate is surprised Jesus is already dead. He summons the centurion, confirms it, and grants Joseph's request. Joseph and Nicodemus take Jesus down from the cross. Nicodemus, the Pharisee who came to Jesus at night 3 years ago, who asked how a man could be born again, who heard that God so loved the world that he gave his only son. He brings 75 pounds of myrrh and aloes, expensive spices, a king's burial. They wrap the body in linen cloth. They carry it to a tomb nearby, Joseph's own tomb, cut fresh from rock, never used. They lay Jesus inside. Then they roll a massive stone across the entrance. The Sabbath begins at sunset. Everyone goes home. The city grows quiet. Jesus lies in the darkness of the tomb, cold, still, dead. The disciples are scattered, hiding behind locked doors, convinced that everything they believed was a lie. Peter is weeping somewhere alone. John is caring for Mary. Thomas has disappeared. Judas is already dead. The money he earned burning in his pocket. The rope still around his neck in a field called Akeldama, the field of blood. The religious leaders are satisfied. The threat has been eliminated. Rome has kept the peace. The tomb is sealed. Guards are posted. The stone is in place. The countdown has reached 0. The execution is complete. Everyone who loved him is crushed. Everyone who hated him is celebrating. The story appears to be over. A carpenter from Nazareth dared to challenge the powers of heaven and earth, and the powers won, or so it seems. But there is something the priests do not know. something the Romans cannot understand, something the disciples themselves have forgotten. Jesus told them exactly what would happen. 3 times he said it plainly. The Son of Man will be delivered into the hands of men. They will kill him, and on the 3rd day he will rise. They did not believe it then. They do not remember it now. But the 3rd day is coming. Night will pass. Dawn will break over Jerusalem. The sun will rise over the Mount of Olives and fall on a sealed tomb. And when the women arrive with their burial spices, expecting to anoint a corpse, they will find something that changes everything. Something that turns grief into confusion. Confusion into fear. And fear into a joy so fierce it will spread across the entire world and never stop spreading. What happens next is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning, and nothing can stop what is coming. Not death, not the grave, not the gates of hell itself. The countdown is over. But a new countdown has begun. Jerusalem slept, the stone was sealed, and heaven was silent. But silence does not mean the story is over. If this story touched your heart, opened your understanding of the Word, and revealed something new in Scripture, share it with someone who needs this perspective.